This is a video on replacing the carriage yoke that is in the service manual. First step is to remove your lifting nose. It's a Phillips head screwdriver, 4 bolts. You don't need to take all the bolts out, just loosen them up enough where you can lift this out and set it off to the side. And then you're going to want to put it up on a table to take off the fixed nose. Then you're going to want to take a 3/16 Allen wrench and remove these 6 bolts. These bottom 2 have nuts on the other side, so you're going to want to hold your hand on the other side so that the nut doesn't drop out. Once you get to the last 2, you're going to want to support the plate, because when you pull the second to the last out, it's going to want to tip. Next, you're going to want to take the bottom plate off with a 3/32 Allen. I usually break them all loose and then come back and remove them. Then once you get that off, set the bolts and off to the side. You're going to want to take off your electrical pan or cover. It's just a Phillips screwdriver. There'll be 5 screws. Pop off the back panel. Then the first thing you're going to want to do is disconnect the battery. Use a pair of needle nose. Don't just pull on the wires. There's these little plastic retainers. Use a pair of needle nose. Just lift up on the piece of plastic and they pull right off. If you pull on the wires, you'll damage the connector and then your battery won't be able to plug in. And then you're going to want to disconnect your motor, positive and negative. Same way as disconnecting the battery. Use the plastic, not the wire. You're going to want to disconnect your motor brake, which is the little wire at the base. Just pull up on it. Push that off to the side. You're going to want to take your 10mm and disconnect the castle nuts that are holding the base plate on. Once you get those off, the next step is loosen up your tension on your belt, which is a 9/64. Do a couple turns on that, it'll loosen it up. Once that's loose, you can see it's loose. Take your fingers, pull it out. Set it off to the side. Then after that, you're ready to take this base plate off, which is a 1/4. 4 bolts. Okay, now that you got your 4 bolts out, you can pop off your gear off, which is a 3mm. And you're gonna need a pair of channel locks also to hold the gear. You wanna loosen up the set screw, remove it from the tighten side and install it in the loosen side. Once that's off, you move it over to the other side. Twist it in. And you're just gonna keep turning until you feel it loosen. You'll feel the whole gear loosen up. And you just slide it out. And I always take it from the loosened side and put it back to the tightened side so it's ready for install. And you just put it flush, and then you're done. So at this point, you're ready for your base plate to come off. Just slide it out. Be careful. Set it off to the side. And then now you're ready to take your carriage out. You want to slide it down just a little bit. Always keep downward pressure on the screw. You just counterclockwise it. Okay, now you're ready to change out your yoke. So this is an 1/8. Just break it loose. Once you remove both screws, you're gonna swap out your yoke with your new one. So you take it, screws face down. When it's installed right, there should be more space towards the bottom than there is at the top. So all you do is reverse it, put your screws back in. Don't tighten it all the way until you get both screws in. It just makes it easier for lining up. Once they're tight, just want to snug them up, make sure they're good and tight. Next, you want to replace each wheel. Do one at a time. Use your snap ring pliers. Open up your snap ring. Take off your old tire. Put on your new one. Then you're going to want to put the new snap ring on. Fits in the groove. Just want to make sure it seats properly. You'll hear it clip in. And again, only do one wheel at a time because you don't want to lose the position of the plastic and the axles. After that, after you get all 4 of them back in, you're ready to put your carriage back on. Okay, when you go to reinstall, reach up in between, grab a hold of your lifting screw, get that set in, and then you're going to want to turn clockwise. Keeping a downward pressure. Once the screw comes out, you can just keep pulling down on it and turn. You want to get the carriage just above the electrical connections. And then you just put it all back together, starting with your motor plate. So you want to make sure your wires don't get caught up. Okay. Once you get that, you want to put your bolts back in on the sides. Usually just start them before getting them all tight. Be sure not to cross thread. Okay, once you get them all started, you can tighten them down. Now you're reinstalling the castle nuts. You just want to make them snug, do not over tighten. Then you want to take your motor brake and insert it. It'll rest in between your castle nuts and the brush guard. Then it plugs right into the circuit board. Then you're going to want to connect your motor back on, negative to negative, positive to positive. Now you're all hooked back up there. Next, you're going to want to put the gear on. So reach under, make sure that your screw does not go up. You want it flush. Then you just tighten it up. Then once you get to a point where you can't turn it without it spinning, get your channel locks. Keep tightening. Basically to when you can't turn it anymore, as it's tight enough. There you go. Can you grab a hold of it, make sure it's good. Then you're going to put your belt back on. Put it on the motor side pulley first. Get it set in there. And you can slide it on to that pulley. To tighten your belt up, put your 9/64 on, wedge it against the castle nut to get tension, tighten it up. Once you got it tightened, there should be no more than 1/8 of an inch deflection on your belt, and you're good to go. Now you're time to put your bottom plate back on. Now you're going to reinstall your bottom plate. Make sure you have the chamfer holes out. Again, I never tighten them down completely until after I've gotten the screws started. And then you're just wanting to snug them up. Alright, once you get that all set up, it's time to put the fixed nose back on. Okay, once you get your fixed nose on, you're ready to hook your battery back up. Just slide it in, same thing, positive to positive and negative to negative. It is marked on your board with a plus or a minus. You got that hooked back up, it's time to put your electrical cover back on. Slide that on, replace the 5 screws. The 3 long ones go towards the top, the 2 short ones go towards the bottom. Once you get that put back on, slide it down, be gentle. Turn your unit back on, take your lubricating spray, and as you're going up with it, you're going to spray. Then just run it back down. That's all you have to do to lubricate your screw. and you're ready to go back to work.